everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm a Stampin' Up! And I come to you live every Wednesday night with 3 creative. I love that. And it's really fun, especially once we start seeing some regulars and you another, and it's just a fun evening. So I encourage you to participate, to comment. Now, you on the drawing, so but even if all you do is give me a quick hello, your name will go in. So give me just a second. Okay, so hopefully that's going to help. Got that done. Pulling this up on my screen now. Let's see here. There we go. We got a couple people here. Colleen is here. I see Nell. Welcome, welcome. I got your card yesterday, Colleen. Thank you very much. It was beautiful. So let's see, what have we got going on this week? I get to work from home all week this week. I am babysitting my boss's dog. She has a little wiener dog that's like this big. She's just itty bitty tiny. She's 14 years old and so sweet, so sweet. But like I said, she's old and she's tiny, and Lucy is neither of those. And Lucy wants her to play. And you know, Lucy just doesn't know her own size and strength. So she kind of irritates Ruby, the dachshund. So we've had Ruby since Friday. And, you know, we've been kind of trying to keep them separate just because Lucy drives Ruby crazy. And we don't want Ruby to get hurt accidentally just because, like I said, Lucy doesn't know her own strength and size. So we've kind of been keeping them separated, but also wanting them to get used to one another so that we don't have to do that to either one of them. And today they seemed to be doing okay, so I went ahead and let them both run around the house. And for the most part, they have done really, really well. Lucy gets a little excited from time to time, and then we have to separate them again. But they're actually doing really well. So that's good. It looks like Mary Lou joined us and Mary joined us. Welcome. I've got some fun projects for you guys, but they're a little bit time intensive. So I don't want to take too much time talking tonight because I want to be able to dive right in. But I do want to remind you, this is the last week of Celebration. And Celebration, if you are unaware, is where we have about 20 gifts you can choose from, absolutely free for every $50 you spend. You can get an unlimited number of those prizes, and it's everything from stamps and designer series papers, and I think there's even some dies in there. I mean, there's a lot of really great gifts to choose from. They're nice gifts. So definitely check out my website and take advantage of those this week, because once Celebration's over, I can't even do any little behind the scenes magic to get them for you. So you definitely want to take advantage of it now. In the past, like last year, and maybe even the last 2 years, but definitely last year, we did 2 celebrations, one in the, this time of year, and then one in the fall. This year they're only doing the one. So this is going to be your only opportunity to take advantage of that. So definitely do that. When I flip the screen around, you'll see my website address. Speaking of that, I want to say a big thank you to those of you who have placed orders in the last couple weeks. I have some goals I'm trying to reach, and getting your business really, really helps me a lot. And I just want to say a big, huge thank you to you for supporting my business in that way. And if you have any questions or anything like that, definitely contact me. My email address, you'll also see that when I flip the camera around, but you can also contact me here on Facebook through the private messaging. So let's get this camera turned around. We're going to give away our prize for participating in last week's conversation, and then we're going to get going on our cards. How's that sound? Okay. Bear with me as I get this all turned around and set up and straightened out. You know how I have to sit here and futz with it for a while because I can't handle it when it's not straight, right? Just a little bit here. Everything's all crooked, and that drives me crazy. Ooh, now I'm really crooked, huh? see if how straight that ends up being. So anyway, here's the flyer for Celebration. This just shows you a few of the things that are available. There's some really adorable stamp sets, some beautiful papers. Definitely take advantage of these because they're great. Great gifts. You know, they're not just these cheesy little things. So take advantage. Okay, now let's take a look at what I have for you this week. So this first card uses our Awash in Beauty Designer Series paper. Hey, Judy, welcome. Welcome, Joyce. Hello, Talina. Hello, Kathy. Hey, Sharon. Hello, Robin. Did I miss anybody else? Let's see. Okay, it looks like I got everybody so far. Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm really, really crooked. And you guys know I can't handle that. I just can't. Okay, so let's see what we can do to fix that. Ooh. Okay, good. Okay, so this card, like I said, uses the Awash in Beauty Designer Series paper. It is really, really gorgeous. I have some scraps here, but I can show you. It's just a beautiful floral. I love the colors. It's really vibrant. See, look at these papers. They're just amazing. And so tonight, we're going to use those. And actually, the card we're going to make together, it's using the same pack of Designer Series paper, but I'm going to use a different print. It just gives you a chance to see the same card using different prints. And we're also going to be using the Artistically Inked bundle. It's got these beautiful stamps. It's kind of, the design is that alcohol ink sort of look. I've seen some gorgeous cards made with it. And then the coordinating dies. So we're going to use those tonight. Move stuff out of the way here. Let me show you the card we're going to make. Of course, I decorated my envelope. And then here you go. This one's kind of a fun fold. Actually, two of the cards tonight are fun folds. Okay, so we've got this cute little belly band, and then the card opens up like that. So isn't that pretty? And it'll stand on its own. So let's go ahead and get going here with our card. Put it back together. Oh my goodness, the dachshund is barking and barking. She does this thing where she doesn't bark a ton, but once she starts barking, she doesn't stop, and she won't stop for a couple of hours. It drives me crazy. Okay, so for this card, move my little baggie out of the way. First, let's start with the envelope. And this one, we're just taking a strip of the Designer Series paper. Isn't that gorgeous? Let me actually show you too. This is the print that I used, and this is the inside of that print, or the back side of it, I guess. You definitely want to choose a Designer Series paper where you like both sides or they coordinate well together. Most of the time they do, but they don't always. So make sure you want to check for that. The other thing to check for is if it is directional, like you can see in this one, they're like little flowers. You want to make sure that you have them right side up. Okay, so I've got a strip here that is 2.5 by 6, and you can see I'm using a different print this time. Okay, let's put a little bit of glue on here. Okay. You notice how nice and quiet Lucy is tonight? Well, my son found on the internet, he was doing this research about, because she's just so high energy. And it was saying how a lot of dogs that are super high energy like that, now we're going to just trim off the excess, they don't just need to be physically worn out, because what happens is they need to be mentally worn out as well, because even though their body is tired, their brain is still going a million miles an hour, which is definitely Lucy. And so their brain isn't telling, or their body's not telling their brain it's tired. And so the brain is still trying to find something to do. So when they're being really obnoxious and hyper, it's because their brain's just out of control. So they need to be intellectually stimulated to wear them out intellectually, right? So one of the things that's really common to do in a case like that, see, so now I've trimmed off all the extra and we've got our flap done. One of the things that's really common is things like lick mats, where you put like peanut butter or something on this lick, and for some reason, dogs find licking intellectually stimulating. Don't ask me how. It doesn't seem too stimulating to me, but it is. Okay, we're going to pause for a minute while I tell you what we got going on here. Okay, for my card base, this is a little different than normal. This is just a quarter of a sheet of design or of cardstock. It's 5.5 inches this way and 4.25 inches this way. It's just providing a base for our designer series paper. I like to do that when my main card is designer series paper. It's a nice heavy paper, but it's still a little flimsier than a regular card. So I like to put it on a base like that. Because it just gives a little bit of extra support on my card. Now, I also have a piece of my designer series paper. It's 5.5 inches this way, and it is 10 inches this way, okay? I made one like this so you could see the measurements if you want to write this down or take a screenshot or, whatever. There we go. So it's it's 10 by 5.5. And then I scored it at 1 inch, at 3 inches, at 7 inches, and 9 inches. So it's scored at 1, 3, 7, and 9. Okay. I'll leave that there for just a second for anybody who wants to take a screenshot or whatever you want to do with that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold it. So these two pieces are folding in toward one another together. And we're going to give it nice crisp edges with my bone folder. Fold these pieces back. So I did the two that are on the inside, the ones at 3 inches and 7 inches are folding inward. And then the ones on the outside, the ones at 1 and 9 inches are folding back out. And we're just going to make nice crisp edges there. So it's like this. Let's go ahead and glue this down to that card base. Okay, so anyway, in researching these lick mats, Jackson found an article that said her dog likes this special treat even better. And it sounds disgusting, it really does, but boy, Lucy loves it. You take a bowl and you line it with peanut butter, right? You just smear the peanut butter all over. Okay, so there we have the card. Now at this point, this doesn't matter as much, but make sure if you've got a directional pattern that you're going the right way. Like I said, it doesn't matter at this point because if I needed to, I could just flip it over. But once we start adding stuff to it, you want to make sure you start out with it going the right direction, okay? And I have this piece. This is 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/8 inch. And it's going to go right in here. But before we put it in here, I have some little strips we're going to put on the sides just to decorate it up a little bit. We're going to put them right over here. Okay, so anyway, you line this bowl with peanut butter, and then you put like a little handful of dog food, not a ton, and then you chop up some fruit. Like in this case, we put bananas in there. Lucy loves bananas. And then Jackson did. He made it. And then you put plain Greek yogurt in there. And then you put like another little handful of dog food. And then a couple of ice cubes and a tiny, tiny little bit of water to kind of bind it all. And you put it in the freezer and let it freeze. And it takes a while. They want to get to the good stuff on the inside, like the yogurt and the bananas and stuff. And so they lick and lick and lick. And Lucy loves ice cubes. So we knew this would be great for her. But they lick, and that supposedly is intellectually stimulating for them. And she loves this treat. So there you go. If you have a dog, try this out. She really seems to enjoy it. Okay, so I'm just putting these little strips on here on both sides. And then we're going to glue it to the inside of the card. But let's get these on here first. Oh my goodness, Ruby, stop barking. You're driving me nutso. Okay. I think I'm getting close to needing ooh, needing a new bottle of glue. What's funny is I said that a few weeks ago, and this is still the same bottle of glue. So I'm trying to get every last little drop out of it I can. Okay, I am leaving just a tiny little edge of the white next to my strip. See how I didn't go all the way to the edge? I'm doing that. Looks like I had a little glue on my finger and it got on my card. So I am going to use my adhesive eraser to get that off. Comes right off. By the way, everybody who places an order this month of $75 or more, I am sending you a free adhesive eraser. So keep that in mind as you're placing your order. Okay, now what we're going to do is glue this to the inside of the card. And I'm just lining it up. It has a very, very small margin here. I just made it slightly smaller than my designer series paper. So it's a little harder to line up when it's on the inside like this. But there we go. I think we got it. But see how those stripes just add a little bit of pop against this designer series paper? I really like that. Now, we'll fold it closed here. And now I have strips in the, by the way, this color right here, this one, this is our, golly, why can't I think of what it's called? It is Merry Merlot. And now I have a couple of little strips of Merry Merlot. These strips, by the way, as well as the ones on the inside, are 1/4 of an inch long. These ones are 5 1/4. These ones were 5 1/8. So we're going to put a little adhesive, a little bit of my liquid glue on here. Okay, and I'm putting the strip right here on this piece that's folded out, and I'm just leaving a little bit of a margin there. There we go. Just like that. And then, oh, it looks like it's not very even. This is why I use the liquid glue when I do that and it's not very even. I've still got a little bit of wiggle room where I can scoot it over so that it's where I want it. Hey, Teresa, welcome. Oh, that's right, Nell. I've heard of that. You know, it's probably because it opens up the vacuum inside of the bottle. Nell's suggestion here is that when the bottle's getting empty, if you just turn this end, because did you know our glue bottles they have 2 ends? There's a wide tip and this fine tip. I just never use the wide tip. But if you just turn it a little or even take it off, it helps get that airflow through there so your glue comes out easier. And I always forget about that. Okay. So thank you for the reminder of that tip now. And I may just have to do, whoops, there we go. So a little bit of glue. Okay. Get this lined up. Okay, so now the base of the card is done. Pretty simple, right? Now we're just going to create a belly band. And for that, what we're going to do is take another strip of the designer series paper. This is 1 inch wide by 9 inches long. 9 or 10? 10 inches long. So it's 1 by 10. Then what I do is I make sure it's going the right direction. I set my card down on it. And I do my first fold in one direction. Okay, and now fold the other one. Now you want it to be tight enough that it stays and it doesn't just slide right off your card, but you don't want it so tight that it's difficult to slide off of the card. So make sure everything lines up just right. Then what I do is I take it off and then I take my bone folder and I redo those creases. Make sure everything's straight and crisp like that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my tear tape and I'm going to put one little strip right there on the inside edge of that, or I'm sorry, it's like the outer edge of that end. And then I'm going to take another little strip and I'm going to put it on the inside edge of the strip. Take my bone folder and just press that in really well. It helps to get the glue so that it's adhered well to your designer series paper or your cardstock, so it's a lot easier to pull the release tape off. Oops, this is coming undone. Okay, so now I'm going to put it back on my card. Oops. There we go. Make sure I'm putting it on there straight. There. So we have our belly band. Now let's decorate it. I have this little piece that I punched using this punch. Oh, Label Me Lovely, maybe, I think. Can't remember what it's called, but you can find this on my website. Just look up the punches, you'll see it. Okay, now I'm going to glue this. Now see these little edges here? This piece right here, this is 1 inch, and remember our band is 1 inch. Hey Marcia, welcome. So it works perfect with a belly band that's 1 inch because they're the same size. So let's go ahead and glue that down. I do like to use tear tape with my belly bands just because, you know, they get slid off and on the card so much that it can loosen your adhesive a little. Tear tape is probably our strongest adhesive that we have, and so it just helps with the integrity of your belly band. And pull that up. Oh my goodness, Ruby, you're gonna drive me nuts. Okay, so now I'm just lining this up. This just so happens to be 2 inches wide as well, and so it lines up with the edges of my folds here too. So I mean, it really fits well with this card. So I'm just gonna stick it right there, and now we're gonna decorate it. I did the stamping and the die cutting ahead of time, but I'm going to show you how I stamped these because I did something a little bit different with them. I've got 2 leaves and I've got the flower. We're also going to stamp a sentiment here. But let me show you, I want to show you how I did the flower first, then we'll stamp the sentiment. For the colors, I used Mossy Meadow for the leaves. I used Melon Mambo and Merry Merlot for the flower. What I did, get these open here. And I took a sponge dauber, but I don't know where my sponge dauber went. Oh, there it is. It was hiding. Okay, so the first thing I did is I inked up my stamp really well with the Melon Mambo. Then inked up my sponge dauber, and I just did a little bit in the center of my flower there, and then I do a little bit around the edge, and then stamp it. And see how it gives me a good variegation of the 2 different colors? It just adds a little shading. Now this stamp is amazing and it has some great shading on its own. So even if you only do 1 color, it's still gonna look gorgeous. But if you wanna add just that little extra something, you can do that with just a slightly darker color. And that's how I did that. So let's put these ink pads away. And we're going to stamp our sentiment, which is also from this set. It says thanks. And I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow for the sentiment. Oh, look at me with my ink all over myself already. I'm out of control. Okay, so stamped it right there. Clean off my stamp. Okay, give me just a minute. I'm going to go let Ruby out of my room and see if that stops the barking. Hang on. Okay, thanks for your patience there. It's kind of funny. It snowed here yesterday, so there's just a tiny little bit of snow on the ground, like a dusting basically. And Ruby does not like that at all. And it's like as soon as I set her outside, she tries to run back in like, no, I'm not doing that. So now she's outside barking at me, and I'll let her in a moment. Okay, so now I'm just going to fussy cut my sentiment. Remember to move your paper, not your scissors. You know, I think one thing that really helped me to learn to fussy cut a little bit better is I found myself getting hung up on perfection. Like it has to be exactly the same margin everywhere. And I just couldn't do that. And I never was happy with how it looked. And it was very choppy looking. Well, part of that choppy looking comes from moving the scissors, not the paper. But also because I was trying so hard to focus on the margin being perfect that I wasn't getting a smooth, fluid cut. So if you're just kind of allowing the paper to wiggle a little bit and you're getting the general shape of the image that you're cutting, that made a huge difference for me. It is hard to overcome that mindset of it being absolutely perfect. But you'll find in the end, it looks so much better. It's nice and smooth. And you don't really even notice that the margin isn't exactly the same everywhere because it's pretty darn close, that it's kind of hard to tell. And because the cut is so much smoother, it just looks really nice. Okay. So there's our sentiment. Okay. Okay, so I was really hoping Ruby would go potty while she was out there, and she did not, which means she's probably going to come in here and pee on my floor. That's okay. That's why we have a Swiffer. Okay, so now I have my flower and my sentiment and my little leaves. So let's put this together. And then you know what? This card is done. So my glue. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue on the ends of the leaves. So let's see, right about there, I think. Put one leaf. And then another one. I'm going to do the same thing, a little bit of glue on the end. There, like that. Now something I want to look at. On my original one, I laid my flower down and I did the thanks over it like that, over the flower. But I wonder how it would look if I did the flower over the thanks. I didn't like it totally separated like that. So what do you guys think? Thanks over the flower, so the thanks in front, or the flower in front? I think I like the thanks in the front. What do you guys think? Thank you for sharing, Marcia. I appreciate that. That helps me out a lot. Diana's joined us. Welcome, Diana. I think I don't know. The more I look at it, I kind of like the flower in front. Oh, yep, and Diana suggested dimensionals on the flower too. What do you guys think? Thanks and then the flower sticking up? A lot of people are saying thanks in the front. Joyce says flower in the front. Diana said tridimensionals on the flower, which means it would be in the front. We could also put dimensionals on the thanks. So whatever's in the front, we could put dimensionals there. You know, it looks like you guys are about 50-50 on that. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do the flower on the bottom. And then we'll put some dimensionals under the thanks. What do you think? So I'm just going to put the flower there like that. It's just going off the edge of my little label there. And then we have the thanks. Let's put a few dimensionals on that. And I think I'm going to use my mini dimensionals just to ensure that, well, where are my mini dimensionals? They're kind of MIA. Oh, no, there they are. Okay, and I just realized I did not award this week's prize. So I'll do that as soon as this card is over. So I've got my little dimensionals here. Fat little fingers make it a little difficult. Let's see. And then I think I'm going to take one and cut it in half. So it's a mini dimensional. And I'm just going to put it behind the loops on my K and my H, so they can stick up a little bit too. Okay, so now we're going to peel the back off. Okay. And we're just going to put it over the flower about like that. Oops, I want to center it. Oh, I like that. And thank you for the suggestion to use the dimensionals. And then we're going to use the iridescent pastel gems. These are in the January through April mini catalog, and they come in kind of a orangey color. It works well with our Calypso coral. And there's this really pretty, like an icy blue. And then this color, which I think it's supposed to be white, but it's got just a little bit of shimmer of other colors in it. I really like it. We're going to put a few of those little guys on our card. There we go. And now this card is done. Let's put some stuff away. We'll take a quick peek at it again. So there's our card with our envelope and a cute little belly band. And you know what I did, you guys? My belly band is upside down. Look, the flowers are going the wrong direction. Oh, well. Okay, so there you go. Two different, the same card, but two different designer series papers. I kind of like it. Okay, so let's put these aside, get going on our, clean up the mess, and then get going on our next card. Okay. Thank you, guys. All right, so our next card, I love how this one turned out. Now, I want to tell you about something I was challenged to do this week. I belong to a larger group of stampers called Love to Stamp. And some of you I know are in that group with me, so you know what I'm talking about. And the leader, her name's Patty, she said she had something she wanted to do to encourage people to kind of come up with ideas with all of the new designer series papers that are in our January through April mini catalog. So anybody who signed up, she sent us out some samples of the new designer series papers, and then we were encouraged to make 2 different cards using those papers, well, yeah, for the different packs you got, you had to make 2 cards for all the packs you got, however many you got. Like I got 3 packs, so that's a total of 6 cards, right? And oh, I forgot to do the drawing. Thank you for the reminder, Sharon. I'm going to do it here in just a second. But anyway, so I thought, well, I will go ahead and use this to come up with my cards for this week. So I have some extra cards to show you using these designer series papers. So I'm going to show you here in just a second. But I want to tell you our drawing this week. The winner is receiving a pack of our festive pearl stamps. I love these. These are so pretty. You can't see, but up here where it's covered, there's some that are really kind of a pinkish red. Then we've got this kind of sea foam blue, silver, and gold. I love these. These are so pretty, and they just kind of, they're small, and I love that. They really add a little something to the card. And this week's winner is Carol Alanis. Carol watches us on YouTube, so she's pretty consistent in watching, so hopefully she'll see this later. Carol, I think I do have your mailing address because you've won before. So I shouldn't need your address to mail this out to you, but I will contact you if I am wrong about that. So congratulations, Carol. Okay, so let me grab the paper to show you what paper I used for these cards. Okay, so this paper actually comes, I believe it does. It comes in, it comes in 12 by 12 sheets. I just have smaller sheets because it's easier when they're small to ship them or whatever. But there's 2 prints. I've used this before too, so you guys have seen this. It comes in 2 different colors. There's the kind of Calypso Coral, but it also looks really good with our, hold on, Cajun Craze. And we're going to use that a little bit tonight. So there's this one. See how it's a dry brush metallic is what it's called. Dry brush metallic specialty paper. And then there's this kind of bluish green one. Isn't this gorgeous paper, you guys? I love it. So anyway, that's the paper that I was challenged with. And I made 3 cards. So we'll make the card that we're going to make, and then I'll show you the extras that I made with this paper. The stamp sets we're going to use are the Desert Details bundle. This is in the January through April mini catalog, and I really like this. The flowers are so detailed. I like the fonts. It's just kind of a fun set. There is a coordinating designer series paper. There's a whole suite of products. It's absolutely gorgeous. And again, that's in the mini catalog, the January through April mini catalog. And then I also used the painted texture embossing folder. And I use this one quite a bit because it's a nice subtle paper, or folder, so I can do a little background. And this is the card we're going to make using this little crisscross pattern that really is sharp. And when I first saw this pattern, I thought, oh, that looks so difficult. It's not. It's super easy. And then also that background, the lines going this way, it's using our Texture Chic Designer Series paper. And that's another pack that's just gorgeous. It's got some gold or metallic flecks in it, and just lots of neat stuff. So that's what I'm using for this card. Let's go ahead and get started. Again, on the envelope, I'm just going to put a strip of designer series paper on the flap. It's probably the easiest way to decorate my envelope. You know, I like to do that. I don't want naked envelopes. There we go. Two and a half by 6 inches. Okay, now let's go ahead and just trim off the extra here. This designer series paper is actually a little bit lighter weight than our other designer series papers. So I don't know if I could do with it what I did with the last card, where it's basically the card itself, because it's just a little too lightweight. But it sure does make some beautiful accents on my card and my envelope and all that. So look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And I'm using my very vanilla envelopes, by the way. I really like the Stampin' Up! Envelopes. You know, you can get cheaper ones on Amazon or whatever. And that's actually what I used to do. But I did find I just really like the Stampin' Up! Ones. They have a nice smooth finish. They're heavy duty, so they last well. And I think they just finish your card really, really nicely. So for this one, I'm using the Very Vanilla cardstock, and it is very vanilla, Joyce. And the cardstock is also very vanilla. It's 8.5 inches wide by 5.5, which is, you know, our standard card base. I have it scored at 4 1/4. So let's get that folded over here. Get everything lined up. Okay, set that aside for, actually, let's go ahead and do the inside. And for the inside of this one, it's really, really simple. Move some of this stuff out of the way of my little box here. Okay, I'm using my Balmy Blue. And for this card, let me show you the stamps we're using. We've got the big flower and the little flower. And then I also have the sentiment, "You are what sunshine feels like." I love that sentiment. I think it's so sweet. Okay. Now, first I'm going to ink up my big stamp here. And I'm just going to go off the corner. And that's all we're going to do on the inside. Just gives it a little something. We'll set that aside for the moment. Since we're doing our stamping, let's just do all of the stamping at once. So I have a scrap here of Very Vanilla. Then I also have this little strip. Okay, I'm not sure. Oh, I know. I was like, I'm not sure why I already have that stamped. That's because I did it in the blue because I wanted to see if I liked the blue or crumb cake better, and I found that I liked the crumb cake better. So let's get the crumb cake ink out as well. But we're going to do the 2 flowers, and then we're going to die cut them. So here's flower number 1. Clean off my stamp. And now we're going to do the little one, like that. And then, because we're just doing all the stamping right now, I've got my crumb cake ink. And line this up and pray that I get it straight. There we go. Woohoo! And I am going to trim that down when we're ready to use it, but I'll just set it aside for now. Let me get my die cut machine here. Looks like we can use the little one tonight. By the way, if you sign up to join Stampin' Up, joining my team, there's a lot of fun perks with that. But right now during Celebration, you can get for just $129, you get to select $175 worth of products of your choice. Plus, you get one of the mini cutting and embossing machines. You can choose between white and a new color we have coming out called Boho Blue. It's beautiful. It's like a little bit darker cornflower blue. All of that for $129. So you're basically getting over $100 worth of products for free when you sign up. And you can choose to try to make it a business. You can just be do it to support your own hobby to get your products at a discount. Some people do it just because they want to get the kit because it's such an amazing deal. Any of those Stampin' Up! Is happy to support us. So if you have any questions about that, definitely contact me or visit my website to find out more information. Looks like John joined us. Welcome, John. Okay, so let's see here. I've got my little plates. I'm gonna get these all ready to run through the machine. And I just have some Post-it tape. I like to use the Post-it tape when I have a die like this that I want to make sure that it doesn't move on me. You know, like if I was just doing a plain circle or something, it wouldn't matter. But in a case like this where there's detail and I need to make sure it stays in the exact spot I want it, I tape it down with my Post-it tape. Okay. Okay, let's see here. You know, last week I had Lucy in her crate, I think, while I did my live, and she did so well in there and she was fine. But now she sees Ruby out and, of course, wants to be out too. So now she's crying. But I don't want to let her out because she'll harass Ruby, which I don't mind. But I don't want to be running interference when I'm trying to play with you guys. Okay. Line that right up. Tape it in place with my Post-it tape. And now we're going to just run this through the machine. It really is a great deal, Joyce. You know, right now with Celebration, it's amazing. But even when it's not during Celebration, it is still the best deal that we offer. But yeah, right now, it's like, how do you say no to that? Whoops, I put this away, but didn't put the dies away on it yet. Okay, so it folds right back up. So which cutting machine did you get, Joyce? Did you get the boho blue or did you get the white? Oh, that's sweet, Sharon. Sharon has a little chihuahua that heard my voice and woke up and is now sitting with her watching the video. Okay, let's see here. See, it cuts them out really, really nicely. And you could fussy cut those. I mean, the argument can be made, you don't have to have a die cut machine, but boy, it sure is easy when you do, right? And when you can get it for free, even better. Okay. So I've got those. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this now just so that it's ready, I think. So I'm just cutting it a bit of an angle. There, like that. So I'm gonna set all my little cut pieces. Actually, I'm gonna set them over here on my stand because they tend to not get pushed around and lost when I put them there. Now we're gonna start putting things together. So we're going to start with, I have a little piece of Berry Vanilla, and this piece is, let me double check here, it's 3.5 by 4 1/8. So 3.5 by 4 1/8. And the reason I have that measurement, I know it seems kind of strange, is I wanted it to fit perfectly behind this little frame and not stick out on the edges. Now I have all these little strips that I cut. These strips are all 1/2 inch wide, and they're varying lengths because some of them are left over from when I made the original card. Okay, now here's what we're gonna do. Remember, what you wanna do is you've got the shiny ones, and then you have the ones that aren't shiny. I'm gonna separate them out just to make sure. Makes it easier to quickly grab the pieces as you're making the card. There we go. This should be, yeah, I think this will be enough pieces. So I'm going to start with a little piece right here, and I'm just going to glue it down on the edge there. Is that my shortest one? Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to take my liquid glue and put a little bit of glue on the back here. I'm going to do this on my silicone mat. That way if it gets glued down, it doesn't stick to my work surface. And I'm just lining it up right there on the edge. Okay. Now I wanted to make sure that all of my strips are evenly spaced. I'm horrible about eyeballing that kind of thing. Some people are really good at it. I am not. So what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm taking one of these extra strips and I just lay it there to hold it in place. It's not glued down or anything like that. Now I'm going to make a little strip of glue like that. And I'm going to lay down my next piece. Oh, that one's not quite long enough. Well, neither is that one. I may have to cut a couple more strips. Okay. There we go. Now I can pick up my... Oh no! I didn't want that one to be shiny. Okay. Goodness gracious, Heather. Okay. Put a little bit more glue down there just to be sure. Because right now I'm just doing the little more matte ones. Let's try this again. Okay. Then I take my little spacer one right there. Put a little bit of glue right here. The other thing about having a spacer is not only does it make sure that everything is the same distance apart, they're all the same angle as well. Yeah, I may have to cut another strip of this. We'll see. And it goes pretty quickly. Oops, I want to make sure that it goes over the edge there. You know what? Oh, I think this is going to work. Yay, me! Okay. Last strip going this way. There we go. Okay. So now I'm just going to turn it because it's convenient for me to lay that direction, I guess is the best way to say it. And now we're going to put our metallic pieces on. Now these, as you can see, it's not double-sided like a lot of our designer series paper is. So you don't have to choose between your sides. So let's start with the first one here. A little bit of glue on the back. And I'm just going to put it right there. And then I have my spacer. Is that long enough? I may have to cut some extra strips of this too. Pick up my spacer. See how that spacer's working for me so that I get the same distances and same width, same angle, everything. It just makes it go a lot quicker and easier for me. Was this piece going to be long enough? Oh yeah, that piece is going to be long enough. Put the last one on. And here I've been putting it on the back of my paper when in fact that's silly because I showed you put it on your cardstock there and then it doesn't go over the edges and you don't have a gluey mess, but I forget. Okay, now what we're going to do, put the mat away, and we're just going to trim off all of the pieces that go beyond our piece of Very Vanilla. These pieces, because they have a little bit of glue, they pile up there and stick to my scissors. Okay. See how easy this was? And it just gives such a nice, sharp look. I really love it. Has anybody else done this technique before? I've seen it for a really long time. I've just never done it. Okay, so there we go. Now that we've cut all the extras off, it looks very different, doesn't it? Okay, let's get rid of all these little pieces. And now we can just start putting everything together. So first what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I'm going to mount this onto my card like so. We're just going to glue that little baby right down. It is so fun, Judy. It's easy to do, and you just find coordinating papers or colors or, however you want to do it. And it just turns out so nice, and it's so easy to do. Okay, so I've glued that down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the frame, and I want to put the frame over our little lattice work that we just did. I don't want to use a ton of glue because I don't want it seeping out and getting all over my metallic-y paper. So I'm basically just going to put a little bit here like this, and a little tiny bit along the edges there like that. Dots right there on the inside of those little notches, and then just like so. And then just lay this down. There we go. Now, normally what I would do is I would use some of my foam adhesive sheets to mount this onto the card. I've run out of them and I need to buy more. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use our, oh, you know what? I have a tiny little bit that we can use on this one. So let's do that. When I've got a bigger piece like this, I do like to use my bigger scissors. It just is easier to cut than with the tiny little snips. And now I'm just going to lay these strips down here and space them out so that I have kind of an even coverage, because I don't want this piece to sag. There we go. We're just going to stick it right down on the card. Remember, the foam adhesive is pretty unforgiving if you lay it down in the wrong spot. So be very careful where you lay it down and lay it very, very gently. That way, if you do need to move it, you can lift it up pretty easily. But if you've really put it down there and really pushed it in, it's not going anywhere. Okay, I think that's straight. Now, got my little flowers, and I'm just going to glue these ones on. I'm not going to use any dimensionals on here. Just putting glue on the top part of it. I guess I can do a little bit more, can't I? Now, the trick here is you want to make sure that you're not going off the edge of your card. There we go. Like so. And then let's put the other flower on there. Like that. Then we have our sentiment. Let's put some dimensionals on the back of that. That's probably more dimensionals than I need, but hey, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Oops. And put it right about here. Make sure it's straight. And then last but not least, I have a little bit of our crumb cake baker's twine. It comes in the packets baker's twine essentials, and it's a 5-pack. It's got the crumb cake, it's got, you know, your standard kind of twine, which is just a little lighter than the crumb cake. You got black, you got white, and you have gray. Okay, it's laying sort of funny. I don't like it when it does this. It wants to go a certain direction, but because I'm left-handed, I don't go that direction. Okay, so I've tied my little bow. Now I just need to fiddle with it a little bit to get it the size that I want and make sure everything matches and, you know, all that good stuff. See how it's twisting like that? That drives me nuts. You know what? I wonder. I'm going to try something here. If this kind of straightens it a little bit and pulls that, because it's twisted from being around a little spool. I guess, no, that didn't really help. Oh well. It was a good theory though. Okay, so now I'm going to play with my little loops and tails, get everything sized the way I want it. And when you're doing these, it's always good to give yourself a little bit of extra so that you can play with it and figure out what you like. And if you haven't done it perfectly centered on the thread or on the twine, you've got some wiggle room to even it out without having to retie your bow and just all that good stuff. Okay. Plus, it's easier to tie a bow when you've got plenty of twine to work with, or ribbon, or whatever it is. I'm going to use a glue dot. I'm going to roll it up a little bit. There you go, on my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to put it right on the back of the knot of my bow. And let's put it right about there. And then trim. There we go. And that's card number 2. So you can see, I mean, it's really sharp. There's a lot going on, but it was really easy to do, wasn't it? Oh, it looks like we have